Okay, this is step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Is a mouthful. Sought through prayer. Some people say, I don't know if they say prayer is petitioning God and meditation is listening to God. Prayer and meditation to improve meditation is to engage in contemplation or reflection. So meditate can also be deep thought. To engage in mental exercise for the purpose of reaching a heightened level of spiritual awareness, to focus one's thoughts on, reflect on, or ponder over, to plan or project in the mind. So there's different types of meditation. Meditation has more than one meaning, see? You have deep breathing exercises. You've got, you can do music, meditation. There's meditation through yoga, which is physical movement. There's like a lot of different things. It's different for everybody. Everybody likes different stuff. I think it's good to try something new, you know? Try it more than once. Try it, for at least 2 weeks, if not a month, to see if you really like it. To see if it really works. I mean, give it really a chance. You can't just say, oh God, do what I want. Oh, God didn't do what I wanted, so there must not be a God, because that's not how it works. It's not going to work that way. And then if it does once or twice, it's not going to work that way all the time, I guarantee you. Okay, our conscious contact. Conscious is awareness. Having mental faculties not dulled by stupor. And our with God, as we understood Him, as we understand God, is going to change on a moment to moment basis, day to day basis, year to year basis. Hopefully, our understanding will be changing and growing. Because if it's not, then I think there's something wrong. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us. So God's will for me and not God's will for someone else. And giving me the power to carry that out. So, put it all together. Prayer and meditation are our principal means of conscious contact with God. If my heart's right, my intentions are good, and I'm really genuinely trying to establish a conscious contact with God, and I'm really genuinely trying to work a real program, an honest program. I'm going to get a spiritual awakening in step 11. I probably have, I had some, several small awakenings going up to 11, but when we expand our conscious awareness of God and open a bigger channel up to Him, we should be getting a stronger kind of like awakening. We AAs are active folk enjoying the satisfactions of dealing with the realities of life, usually for the first time in our lives, and strenuously trying to help the next alcoholic who comes along. So it isn't surprising that we often tend to slight serious meditation and prayer as something not really necessary. Okay, we're busy. We're gonna, if we slight, make it not important. Okay, to be sure, we feel it's something that might help us to meet an occasional emergency, but at first, many of us are apt to regard it as a somewhat mysterious skill of clergymen from which we may hope to get a second-hand benefit. Okay? At first, many of us are likely to view it as a mysterious skill of preachers, or perhaps we don't believe in these things at all. To certain newcomers and to those one time agnostics who still cling to the AA group as their higher power, claims for the power of prayer may, despite all the logic and experience and proof of it, still be unconvincing or quite objectionable. So, objectionable, maybe they still are going, you're going to oppose it. Maybe it's not going to taste right in your mouth, okay? Agnostics believe you can't know if God exists. Those of us who once felt this way can certainly understand and sympathize. We well remember how something deep inside us kept rebelling against the idea of bowing before any God. Sounds like spiritual pride, huh? Many of us had strong logic too, science of reasoning, which proved there was no God, whatever. What about all the accidents, sickness, cruelty, and injustice in the world? What about all those unhappy lives which were the direct result of unfortunate birth and uncontrollable circumstances? Surely there could be no justice in this scheme of things, and therefore no God at all. No fairness in the system. Sometimes we took a slightly different tack, which attack is a method of dealing with a situation or problem. Sure, we said to ourselves, the hen probably did come before the egg. No doubt the universe had a first cause of some sort. The God of the atom may be hot and cold by turns. Oh, Lord. I got an insert for that. I did sometimes because I am an alcoholic. I get a little way off left field, but I have an insert, so hold on. Because it's interesting to me. The more you go over it and study it, the deeper your studies will get. Okay. In ancient Greek philosophy, the god of the atom, who is described as hot and cold by turns, is Democritus. He was a prominent figure in the concept of atomism, believing that all matter is composed of tiny indivisible particles called atoms, and that their different arrangements and motions create the diverse qualities we perceive, including temperature. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. And I'm not a scientist, so I really can't go into I can't go into any more depth than that, but you can do your own research. Atoms are very interesting. But certainly there wasn't any evidence of a God who knew or cared about human beings, so there's no proof, right? We liked AA all right. We were quick to say it had done miracles, but we recoiled from meditation and prayer as obstinately as the scientist who refused to perform a certain experiment lest it prove his pet theory wrong. Okay? We liked AA. We believed in AA, but we just pulled back from meditation and prayer stubbornly. No one's going to force me. Why do I have this here? Lord. Obstinate. A way that is unreasonably determined or difficult to deal with. Yeah. Of course, we finally did experiment, and when unexpected results followed, we felt different. In fact, we knew different. And so we were sold on meditation and prayer. And that we have found can happen to anybody who tries. You have to try. It has been well said that almost the only scoffers at prayer are those who never tried it enough. Reference Big Book, page 97. I don't have my big book, sorry. There was a time I could, in my head, I could tell you where to find it in the big book, uh, but I just don't have that anymore. Those of us who've come to make regular use of prayer would no more do without it than we would refuse air, food, or sunshine. And for the same reason, when we refuse air, light, or food, the body suffers. And when we turn away from meditation and prayer, we likewise deprive our minds, our emotions, and our intuitions of vitally needed support. Intuitions. Intuition. The ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning, a thing that one knows or considers likely from instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning. As the body can fail its purpose for lack of nourishment, so can the soul. Hole in the soul, soul, a non physical essence or aspect of a person that is believed to give them individuality and humanity. It is often considered to be synonymous with the mind or the self. In many religions and philosophies, the soul is thought to be able to survive the death of the body, the spiritual part of a person that some believe continues to exist after death. I think this is from AI. The moral and emotional nature of a human being, a person's total self, an active or essential part, an entity which is regarded as being the immortal or spiritual part of the person, and which, through having no physical or mental material reality, is credited with the functions of thinking and willing, and hence determining all behavior. Look, what if, and I don't know the answer to this, but what if when we feed our soul, we strengthen our will? What if? We all need the light of God's reality, the nourishment, the spiritual nourishment of His strength, and the atmosphere of His grace. Lord. This is why studies take me a long time. 98. There's some deep stuff in step 11, though, y'all. Bear with me. All right. Well, here's another. The final portion of step 11 is critical. Prayer and meditation are not practiced to beseech God to satisfy our wishes. It is not akin to sitting on Santa's knee with their Christmas list. Alcoholics and addicts are engaged in one paramount pursuit: freedom from chemical slavery. The goal of prayer and meditation is to gain knowledge of what is necessary to remain sober, with the assumption that sobriety and good health would be a carrying God's will for us. And asking for the power to carry that out, you are no longer sitting in the director's chair. Instead, you're willing to surrender to whatever realities are required of you to remain sober. Obedience to these realities is the only pathway to receive AA's promise of happy, joyous, and free life. That was from Psychology Today, and I thought that was really good. Let's see, foundation of life. Spiritual nourishment. Spiritual nourishment. Okay, this is what we want. Experiences of spirituality, like the experience of listening to a word, can be considered experiences of nourishment. Spiritual nourishment is the process of feeding the soul and can come from a variety of practices and experiences. There's different ways to feed the soul, okay? Like music, we talked about those. Some other ways to feed the soul. Prayer is a way to realign one's life with God's direction. And timing. Yeah, timing. Reading the Bible. I know it's, or whatever religious book, the Torah or the whatever religion you're in, read that religious book. Okay. Meditation, a time to be still and focus on God, which can help calm the nerves and clear the mind. So don't think. Sometimes not thinking is the best meditation I can have. Worship, okay, to way the worship God is a way to receive the elements of grace that help one thrive spiritually, mentally, and physically. Okay, so you can sing to God, you can lift your hands up to God, you can worship God by doing something nice for someone else. You can serve God through serving others. That's a way to worship. You can worship God by, you know, eating healthy, whatever, fasting. I say getting clean and sober is a big way to worship God. Resting, Sabbath rest to music, listening, and singing. Nature is a great way to worship God. Spending time in nature, growing a garden, or surrounding yourself with flowers can be a way to nourish the soul. Spiritual nourishment can also come from obeying God's commands and delighting in the Word, whatever God. Whatever your idea of God is, how it's expressed, okay? Not someone else's idea, your idea. An atmosphere of God's grace refers to a surrounding presence of unconditional love, forgiveness, and acceptance, where people feel safe to be vulnerable, receive kindness freely, and experience a sense of peace and hope, all stemming from God's unmerited favor bestowed upon them. It's essentially a feeling of being enveloped by God's goodness, regardless of one's actions or circumstances. That's going into. I'm going to finish the atmosphere. Key characteristics of an atmosphere of God's grace. Unconditional love, a deep sense that you are loved and accepted just as you are without needing to earn it. Forgiveness, a space where mistakes are acknowledged but readily forgiven, allowing for healing and growth. Compassion, a willingness to understand and empathize with others' struggles. Empowerment, feeling encouraged to be your authentic self and pursue positive change. Peace, a sense of calm and tranquility among life's challenges. How to cultivate an atmosphere of grace. Practice active listening and empathy. Offer forgiveness readily. Speak with kindness and encouragement. Extend grace to others as you have received it. And engage in prayer and reflection on God's love. I'm going to go to the end of this page and I'm going to stop. Yeah. Okay. God's reality, the nourishment of his strength, and the atmosphere of his grace. To an amazing extent, the facts of AA life confirm this ageless truth. An ageless truth is a timeless principle. It will always stay the same. There's a direct linkage among self-examination, meditation, and prayer. Okay, there's connection between prayer, which is maybe talking to God, and meditation, which is more focusing on feeding the spiritual nourishment. Okay, and then self-examination is when I look at my heart. I look at my heart. I look at where I could do better, where I need help at. Okay. Taken separately, these practices can bring much relief and benefit, help, sustenance. But when they're logically related and interwoven, the result is an unshakable foundation for life. That's what we want. That's what we're trying to get, is looking at step 4. You know, I'm when you get through step 4, when we get through step 1, we learn how to look at ourselves like that. Look, an unshakable foundation for life. So when I'm listening for God and I'm get the spiritual atmosphere, okay, going on, or maybe I'm in the woods and I decide to start talking to God and I start talking to him about, I really want to change this about me, talking to God is working on it. I'm not back where I used to be. Foundation in life. This is what the AA program should be, an unshakable foundation for life, right? Is a solid base of values, beliefs, and actions that provides a sense of purpose and direction. It can help you stay grounded, make better decisions, and live a more fulfilling life. Some ways a strong foundation can help you are resilience. It can help you stay grounded and unshaken even when life throws you unexpected storms. Security, provide a sense of stability. Creativity, enable you to be creative and take action. Independence can help you make choices about who you spend time with, what you work on, and how you build your life. Ethical decision making. Make ethical decisions and navigate human interactions with integrity. Some things to consider when building your foundation are your mindset, the quality of your thoughts. This is a big deal for people in recovery. We got to change the programming, okay? Learn how to catch it. Our values, what's important to you, what's really important to you. Prioritize those habits, daily routines that keep you grounded. Hopefully, they're good. We're instilling some good habits in place of the bad ones. Strengths, things you're naturally good at, relationships, people who make you feel secure and supported. Cut away, cut off the people who do not make you feel secure and supported. They are dead weight. Stick with the people who make you feel secure and supported. I wish I would have got that a long time ago. Self esteem, the ability to believe in yourself and overcome anything. We need healthy self esteem. We can't be so, we're not being arrogant and proudful when we care about ourselves and say, I can do this. With God's help, I can do anything. I can do, maybe it might take me longer than other people, but I'm going to get it done. Maybe it might be a little bit harder for me, but I'm going to get it done. Maybe I can only do a little bit at a time, but I'm going to get it done. Passion, the motivation, and inspiration that life is worth fighting for. How do you get passion? Find something that you care about. The energy and strength to keep health, the energy and strength to keep moving forward. Stress management, the ability to stay in balance. That's a practice. Okay. Okay, now and then we may be granted a glimpse of that ultimate reality, which is God's kingdom. And we'll be comforted and assured that our own destiny in that realm will be secure for so long as we try, however faultingly, to find and do the will of our Creator, our own Creator. How would you like to get a glimpse of heaven? Ultimate reality refers to the most fundamental and supreme power or truth underlying all existence, often considered the deepest nature of reality beyond our sensory experiences, and is frequently interpreted as a divine being or principle in various spiritual and philosophical traditions like God in Abrahamic religions or Brahman in Hinduism. Essentially, it's the realest thing that exists from which everything else originates. God is the realest thing that's real. The ultimate reality is the real. It's the real. Oh. Beyond perception. Okay, God's ultimate reality. Accessible through spiritual practices or deep contemplation, which is just said. Different interpretations. Okay. Depending on the belief system, the nature of ultimate reality can vary, but is generally seen as the source of all existence. Religious context. Often identified with God. Ultimate reality as God's kingdom, the most fundamental and true reality of existence, is not the physical world we perceive, but rather a spiritual realm ruled by God where love, justice, and righteousness reign supreme. Essentially, God's kingdom represents the highest truth and perfect order, accessible through faith and alignment with God's will. Faith and alignment with God's will. While often associated with an afterlife concept, the kingdom of God is also understood as a present reality that can be experienced through spiritual transformation and living according to God's teachings. So I'm going to put my own 2 cents in here because it's my personal study. um, Now we know more than we used to know back then about how the invisible world is more real than the world that we see because we can't see everything with our eyes. So we know that everything that we see, like this book, for instance, isn't really solid matter. It's really just little electrons that are just, moving around. And So, there's a part in the Bible where Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and I'm not trying to be blasphemous or anything, but when he was saying that, he could, probably referring to himself. However, what if the kingdom of heaven is accessible to us here in this physical realm? What if you can go from this physical realm to the spiritual kingdom of heaven and back? Just what if? What if working the 12 steps and the principles attached to the steps and doing this meditation and prayer thing actually did what it said here, which is it says we might be granted a glimpse, a peek into God's kingdom, which is heaven. You might get a peek. Wouldn't that be cool? I think it would be cool. Okay, so our destiny in that realm, our future in God's kingdom, is assured and solid. Okay? What it's saying. We will be comforted and assured that our own destiny in that realm will be secure. Okay? We'll be comforted and solid that our future in God's kingdom will be secure, that can't be lost, for just as long as we try to find and do the will of our own Creator. Right? So seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. Falteringly is a way that's losing strength or purpose and stopping or almost stopping. So if you're in recovery and you got some sobriety and maybe you slipped, you faltered for a minute. But we know that when we get back up and we try to seek and do the will of God, that we get to have the security that we get to be there. If you can see it here while you're still alive, what's it going to be like when you're not? If you can peek into the other world from here and it can exist here, when you pass, it's surely going to still it's not going to disappear. Just because you die, it's going to still be there. Okay? As we have seen, self-searching is the means by which we bring new vision, action, and grace to bear upon the dark and negative side of our natures. Okay. As we've seen in step 4, when we search our heart and our motives, it gives us a new perspective. Okay. We can take different actions. We can take contrary action. Okay. And brings grace, which is God's kindness, to bear upon the dark and negative side of our character. So maybe maybe I'm not, maybe inherently I was born as a terrible liar. And I want to change that, but I really can't because it's just like part of my character. I get to have God's grace and mercy when it's saying, I get to have God's grace and mercy when I seek it. Okay. It is a step in the development of that kind of humility that makes it possible for us to receive God's help. Yet it is only a step. We will want to go further. Humility is not thinking that we're better than others. We will want the good that is in us all, even the worst of us, to flower and to grow. Most certainly, we shall need bracing air and abundance of food, but first of all, we shall want sunlight. Nothing much can grow in the dark. Meditation is our step out into the sun. How then shall we meditate? Okay, say you're an alcoholic or an addict and you want to get sober, and you know you got your own issues. We all got our issues. We're going to need a lot of rest, a lot of food, drink your water, you know. But before all that, we need to spiritually feed ourselves because we've been starving our soul. That's the problem, okay? So if I got a hole in my soul because I've been starving myself spiritually and cut myself off from God, then the only way to fill that hole in the soul is to start feeding myself spiritually, and this is meditation. Your soul is like a little seed. The actual experience of meditation and prayer across the centuries is, of course, immense. It's huge. Huge. The world's libraries and places of worship are a treasure trove for all seekers. Valuable collection, very valuable. It is to be hoped that every AA who has a religious connection which emphasizes meditation will return to that practice, the practice of that devotion as never before. Okay, if you have a religious connection that has meditation attached to it, because it's not the same thing. Hopefully, when you go back, you it becomes stronger. That's what they want, right? But what about the rest of us who less fortunate don't even know how to begin? Okay, we're gonna stop because I'm tired. Ah, this one is, I don't know. This goes on page 99 is where we're gonna start the St. Francis prayer. Okay. Okay.